Hey Archivers fans, it's Meg. Today I'm going to show you how to make a sunflower using the McGill Paper Blossoms punches and tools. So let's get started. To start, you'll need to punch all of your petals and the pieces you need to make your sunflower. So I've already gone ahead and punched 12 of the largest size petals and then 12 of the next size smaller. So there's 4 different sizes with this punch, so it's the 2 biggest sizes. And then, as you can see, I've got all my extras kind of hanging out here too. I also used my chestnut roan chalk ink to lightly ink the edges just to give it a little more dimension and color, but you certainly don't have to do that if you don't want to. I've also punched my large Highland snowflake, and it really doesn't matter what color paper you punch this out of, so I used red just so you can really see it. But as long as the flowers that you're making is only on top, like the petals are put on top of the snowflake, it doesn't matter at all what color they are. And then I've got my suns, and for the sunflower I've punched 4 out of black cardstock and 3 out of brown cardstock, but you can kind of mix and match the combination as you want. Alright, so to start off with any of these flowers using the McGill Paper Blossoms punches, you need to shape your petals. So I used the largest stylus in the lovely toolkit. And you're just going to kind of rub the end over your petals to curl them. And this softens up the cardstock so that it makes it easier to shape with the tweezers, and then you get a more realistic petal look. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of those. Alright, the next step then is to use the tweezers to mold the petals to get them to be the shape you want them to be. Now this really is a personal preference kind of thing depending on how you want your flower to look. So when I'm making sunflowers, I like the petals to have kind of a wave to them. So I take 2 and I layer them on top of each other, and this helps the paper to curl more so than bend, so you don't end up with really harsh edges. And I take the tweezer and I put it right in the middle of the petals and kind of pinch them around it, and then I go back and curl the edges just slightly to get that wave, and then I pinch it in the middle again. So you can see I've got all my petals shaped and ready to go. So now I just have to start gluing them on my snowflake. So I'm just going to slide that over, and I like to use just a scratch piece of cardstock with my glue, and we use the Ultimate. It's the only glue we use to make these McGill flowers because it's super sticky, super strong. It's the best. So I just like to use a little bit of that on a piece of scratch paper, and then my mat doesn't get all gross, and it's really easy. So what you do to start is you'll use the Highland snowflake, and you can shape this just a little bit just to get the curve of the flower, but it's going to end up getting flattened as you glue the petals on anyway. So I like to put a little bit of glue on the end of my petal, and then I just start layering them on. And what's great about the Highland snowflake is there are 12 points throughout, so it keeps it really easy for you to get your 12 petals on the bottom layer. And it doesn't really matter the order in which you stick them on. It really kind of depends on how you want your flower to look, like I've said before. So I just kind of stick them on helter-skelter. And you can move them around once you're done too. It's pretty easy. Sometimes your paper might rip, but you usually can't see it. Sometimes the petals stick to your thumb and not to the paper, so you just add a little more glue. Alright, so there is the bottom layer of my sunflower. So then I just go ahead and add the next layer on top, keep layering them. And I like to layer where there's like an open spot. I'll put a petal just to kind of keep the flower look consistent. Alright, so there is your sunflower. The next step then is to shape all of these suns that will go in the center of the flower. And again, you'll do that using the stylus with the large end. And so I like to just go and shape them all. And I use a little bit more pressure with these just because we want them to really squish together. And then I just start stacking them on top of each other. You can add a little bit of glue as you go. And with these two, you'll have to pinch them a little bit to get the shape to be like the center of a sunflower. So you can see. Alright, so they're all glued together, and sometimes it's nice to take the stylus, just really push them down so you can get a little more curve to it. And then I'm holding it upside down, but I'm just kind of pushing all the petals towards the center so it kind of gets that bunchy look to it. And since this is paper, you can mold it and shape it however you want. So then I'm just going to go ahead and add a little glue and stick it in the middle of my sunflower. A nice little push. And there you have it, a beautiful sunflower using the McGill Paper Blossoms punches and tools.